if people who screwed people badly in their life, if they've got to go through the suffering, imagine the bankers that are foreclosing on thousands of poor people. Imagine their life review where they have to live those lives and the poverty that they put down on people. So there is a justice, a kind of a strange justice here, and I think that's really encouraging. And so I came away from it even more emboldened about life and who we are as a species. And we may be facing a kind of, we are facing a huge catastrophe right now. And a lot of people are not going to make it because of the economy. They're cutting off the unemployment now, and people are really, really going to start hurting now. We've been able to keep the unemployment going for 2 or 3 years now, but now it's running out, and we're going to have a lot of homeless people appearing suddenly in this country, and we're going to have to come to grips with who we really are. And if we approach it from the viewpoint, well, those people are damned and they've screwed their lives up and we don't need to help them, well, that doesn't say much about us as a people. And I think we have to understand that there is no death, but there is a justice at the end of death, and you better get ready for it, and you better start living your life right and start living it right now, and don't wait, because it's not going to wait for you. And things are going to get very, very, very touchy in this country in the next few months and years, and I think we need to be wholly prepared for what's about to happen, which is another reason that I made the film, was because I knew that the world was going to fall apart while I was making the film, although it hadn't fallen apart while I was making it. I knew it was coming, and I wanted people to be fearless. And that's what I want more than anything else out of the film, is for a kind of fearless warrior to arise up right now and take back what is rightfully ours, which is our country. And I think I think we're in a pre-revolutionary moment right now in America. That's a very dangerous place to be because it could go any direction. And so maybe if we approach the coming changes with a fearless warrior heart, we can straighten the situation out to our benefit without a lot of killing and bloodshed. And that's really something I really hope happens. I hope there's a revolution, but I hope it's a bloodless revolution and a velvet revolution.
Yes.
And the odds are not with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like all these changes have been postponed exponentially. So, people like your friend Cliff High, and he's been on my show a few times. I love Cliff.
Yeah, me too.
Talks about the various things that are coming in the November events, and you were a good friend of Terrence McKenna's, who talked about the Timewave Zero and the increase in novelty to 0 point in 2012, and all these things are coming together in kind of a collapse, or maybe it's an explosion in that's going to happen very quickly.
It is, and the kind of like the government, I guess they must be aware of all this, and they're trying to put it off as long as they can, which is why they're borrowing from our future at such a furious rate. I think we went into debt $185 billion in the last 2 weeks in America, and this is just astonishing to watch this.
That's just what we know about.
That's what so the Pentagon can't find any of their money.
Right.
You got to wonder where all that money goes.
Oh yeah.
We know where it goes.
Well, we know.
Yeah, and so this is. I don't know if you're aware of this book. You should probably have the authors on, The Fourth Turning. It's a great book. It was written in the 90s by two historians, Strauss and somebody else, and it predicts everything that's going on here in America, and it's about American history, and it says that every 85 years in America there's a huge climatic change, and of course the revolution, and then 85 years later was a civil war, then 85 years later was the Great Depression, World War II, and guess what? We're 85 years later. And this also goes in with the orbit of, I think, Uranus, which is an 85-year orbit. And so there's some astrology at work here, too. But they predicted that by 2005, we would be in the beginning of the fourth turning, and that there would be an economic collapse. They predicted pretty much everything that's happened so far. And they say that, this one is going to be the one. This is going to be the most serious event in U.S. history. And it's not going to end in 2012 or 2015. They say it's going to go to 2020, 2025, and America will not be anything like it was at the beginning. And a lot of historians poo-pooed the book and said, oh, yeah, right. But here we are, and they were absolutely right. So I entreat everyone to go out there and get that book and read it from the library or whatever, so that you can understand what's going on here. These jobs aren't coming back. None of this is coming back. We are facing unprecedented collapse here, and we have to be fearless. Otherwise, we're going to all end up slaves, even worse than we are now, to the powers that be. And we have to stand up to these people. I'm done with them. And I encourage everyone to do whatever they can, nonviolently, to stand up to these guys and say, that's it, we're done. You've had your day. It's over. And when we do that, you're going to watch. They're not going to shoot at us or jail us. They may, a few of us, but they're just too much of a cowards. There are too many cowards in there to actually fight us. And if we stand up, they will wither like a rose in a snowfall. And that's what I really want. I want us to stand up for ourselves. I want men to take their rightful place as the providers and to provide security for their families, which means we have to get these guys out of power, all of them. And we need to just say, no, we're not living the life that you guys have prescribed for us. And when we do, we'll find that a lot of the pressures that are on us now, economically and spiritually and materially, will vanish.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm after. At this point in my life, I'm getting into my late 50s, and I can see what's happening, and it's like we might as well just do it. We just might as well do it. We got nothing to lose.
Right. Yeah, I turned 60 this year, so it's kind of like I've been spending a lot of time detaching from the matrix, and I feel like I've done pretty well at doing that. There's still a few quantum entanglements, but for the most part, I've detached. And it looks like we might be moving towards a moneyless society once people wake up and realize that we don't have to be slaves to the almighty dollar.
Well, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the dollar is our God, and it says on it, "In God we trust." And it is our God, and they've made it our God, and that's all you live for. Your church is your bank, and it's your temple, and even banks look like temples. And this whole thing has just got to end. We're being ruled by what they call in India the Vishaya, which is the merchant class, which is kind of the seediest of the castes in India, and it's the least spiritual of the four castes.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're being ruled by them. That's who rules this country, and their god is money, and they only worship that god, and there is nothing else, and they're kind of spineless males who believe that security is found through how much money they have and how big their house is, and this is actually an anti-male point of view. Males are not into collecting matter and being proud of how much they own. Males are into the real males are into protecting their families and caring for their children and things, and not into this. So we've kind of created we've let the most perverse class or caste of all rule us, and we are now all in their game of the merchant class of trying to make as much money as we can, and that's a fatal error. A fatal error.
Well, they would like us to believe that. And, of course, they implant memes all over the place to get us to believe that, including the power of the church. And, you know, I mean, as you know, these control systems are vast and powerful, but they're top-heavy. And David Icke talks about this. If you have a pyramid of people that are held up by the people at the bottom and someone sneezes, well, the top falls. So, you know, it might not take so many people to topple the people or the entities, whatever.
I don't think it will. I really don't. And I go back to this thing where they must be rather spineless because of the way they do things in secret. Yeah. So we know that they're cowards by their actions. They are cowards, and we know that cowards are the easiest people to defeat.
Absolutely.
So I say rise up. Don't do anything violent because that's what they want. Fight asymmetrically. Don't hate them. Love them to death. But we need to refuse to deal with their world anymore. And we just say, sorry, we're done. It was fun. You know, driving fast cars was really fun when you're young, and taking all the drugs that you guys gave us was really fun, and all that. But you know, we're done with it, and we're pooped out.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and I think America, especially Americans, are reaching what I call the fear fatigue level, where there's been so much fear on us that we're now kind of like, well, you know, I'm kind of tired of being afraid. It's like I'm pooped, you know. And so that's another good thing, you know. It's good to be tired of being afraid. And you want to know
tired
something?
of being sold things at every turn.
Yeah, it's like, come on. And it's all a phantasm. The whole thing is just a phantasm. It's a fake economy. It's a fake world. It's fake media, fake everything. The only thing that's real in this whole world is food and water and love and they just bristle at that kind of thing. And you watch their TV shows, which fortunately I don't anymore, but even their movies outside of Avatar, and you can see that they don't even like love. Not really. Everything's just kind of a grotesque manipulation. And I think we just, I'm so encouraged when I see, like, Newsweek magazine had to sell for $1. That just really, that made me smile so much. I was so glad that Newsweek magazine was completely worthless. And I'm so glad that you know, nobody's watching television anymore. I just think it's so great. And the fact that the New York Times has to borrow $1 million a month just to stay in business, and the LA Times is filing Chapter 11. Man, what a great time to be alive. All these entities have been lying to us for 50 years. They're all dying. Goodbye. Good riddance. Next, let's work on the school system. That would be good. Let's start working on the school system. Let's get rid of the school system. Let's replace it with something that's spiritually based and, you know, not materially based, not teaching you how to make money, but teaching you how to think. And that's what we should be doing in our schools. And so I see the school systems losing all their money, and I cheer. And everybody thinks, you know, well, he's crazy, you know. But it's a good thing. These are good things that are going on, not bad things. We just have to take a different approach to how we look at it. And that's why I made Infinity it starts with death and our fear of death. And if we can start working on that, then the rest of it will get easier and easier. And when I say no fear of death, I of course, I fear the pain of death. I'm not lying, or I'm not going to lie. You know, I wouldn't want to suffer a long cancerous like Christopher Hitchens is going through right now. But you know, but the moment of death, I'm not worried about. I know that we're infinite creatures, and that we go on after this. And so, you know, that's the other thing is alternative media. You know, Newsweek magazine sells for $1, completely worthless piece of crap magazine, run by the CIA, by the way. And yet, you know, films like Infinity are doing quite well. Alternative radio shows and websites like, say, Rents.com are doing really well. Okay, they're getting more and more. Millions and millions of people are going to these sites. They're not going to Newsweek. They're not going to NewYorkTimes.com.